This episode is brought to you by Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic, a 2-in-1 probiotic and prebiotic formulated with 24 clinically and scientifically studied strains to support healthy regularity and your gut, immune, and skin health. Optimize your gut health. Visit seed.com/Spotify with code Spotify for 30% off your first month of Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hello and welcome to a new podcast, The Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello everyone, the 100 is now well underway and today I am with Trent Rockets all-rounder Sammy Jo Johnson. Good day, Sammy.
G'day, how are you?
Well, I was going to ask you the same question and I watched a very brief clip of you today on your Twitter page when you were in the WBBL playing for the Sydney Thunder. And I was going to ask you, how many cups of tea have you had already today?
I've actually had 2 already this morning. So off and running with the covers. It's obviously a little bit colder here in Nottingham this morning. So jumpers are on and a couple of cups of teas to kickstart the day.
I found it strange because I like tea a lot and that an Australian would be drinking tea instead of coffee.
Yeah, no, I like the coffee bandwagon, but obviously you can't drink too much coffee, otherwise you end up with the runs or something. So stick with the cups of tea.
Well, you should be on good form today after yesterday's win against London Spirit at Lords, the home of cricket. You've got 25 runs, opening partnership of 101 with Rachel Priest, and you got a wicket and you got a catch. How do you feel after that?
It was a pretty special day. Obviously, still pinching myself the fact that I got to walk out on the home of cricket and play a match. Just an awesome atmosphere. There were so many people in the crowd, and for us to kickstart a tournament with a win there, like it's big momentum for us.
So was that the first time you played at Lords?
Yes, it was my first time. So very excited to get the opportunity to play. A
very special place to play. Well, it's a very special place to watch cricket, but for the first time and to do so well as well. How are you?
Definitely one for the memory bank.
Yeah. How are you finding, though, playing in the 100? Have you got used to all the rules yet?
Yeah, I said obviously it's very much T20 cricket. It's obviously just a little bit shorter, a little bit faster. It's super entertaining, and obviously playing with all the crowds and the music. It's got similarities to the WBBL, so it kind of feels a little bit like home.
And performance-wise, do you feel you've been doing better at the moment with the ball than the bat, or? Yeah,
obviously I am an all-rounder. My predominant skill is definitely as a bowler. That's where I've made my name in the game. My batting is something that I've continued to work on over the last couple of years. Obviously, short format cricket, you want to try and come out and have good intent and try and get off as quick as possible. And that's sort of what I've done in the WBBL in the past with both my franchise teams that I played for over there is, come in as a pinch hitter and try and get our team off to a good start. And obviously having that responsibility with the Trent Rockets to bat at the top of the order alongside Rachel Priest has been a pretty cool experience. So haven't got the scores I've necessarily wanted in the first couple of games, but obviously we've still got some important matches left. So hopefully I can keep contributing to the team.
Well, you did well yesterday with the bat. And with the ball, I went myself last Saturday to Trent Bridge, and you got a wicket with your first ball and got 3 wickets in 1 over as well. Yeah,
it was not a bad way to kickstart your tournament. First ball you bowled to pick up a wicket, and obviously that was Smriti Mandana, so she's a world-class player. So to pick her up in that first ball, I was pretty stoked to get us off to a good start there. And like I said, that's my role with the ball. I need to come in and hopefully have an impact and try and pick up wickets and restrict as many runs as possible.
Oh, as a point, I must not say the word over. It's a set now. It's a set of 5. I'm going to get my white card out in a minute, so I'll get a slap on the wrist for saying over.
It's still hard to try and keep overs. That's a norm, but obviously, your set of 5. That's those few little things that we've come into terms with. Obviously, them holding them up, and then the option of 5 and 10 balls. It's obviously a little bit different, but it's been pretty cool.
You as I said, you're opening the batting and the bowling at the moment. What's the different challenges you've got opening the bowling and opening the batting?
Yeah, obviously it's just making sure I've got really clear plans. Like I said, my bowling, it's second nature to me. It's something that I feel really, really confident in. It's a very natural thing for me to do. So the pressures of being an opening bowler probably aren't there as much as the batting side of things. So for me, the batting is a challenge, and I'm really relishing that challenge. Obviously, I'm a hard hitter and I don't normally hang around for a long time. So for me, just trying to make an impact at the top of the order, that's what I want to continue to do. And if I don't necessarily get off to that flyer. I want to try and make sure that I'm not wasting too many balls. I felt like that was a challenge yesterday at Lords. I couldn't find the middle of the bat, hit every edge and every side of my bat that I could find, but that's part and parcel. Sometimes it's not your day, and to have someone like Precy at the other end doing what she was doing, pretty cool experience to watch.
So as an opening batsman, in those first 25 balls of the power play, has the team got a sort of set target of where they want to be at the end of the 25?
Not at the moment. I think we're still trying to find our feet with that, and it's similar to playing T20 cricket. Like, at the end of your six, you want 6 overs in your power play for T20 cricket. You're trying to get to a certain number. I don't think we quite know what that 25 balls looks like. And I know that a lot of teams have gone out really, really hard and possibly losing wickets in the power play. So it puts a little bit of pressure on the middle order. So I think if we can be on, more than a run a ball and be minimal wickets down, I think that's going to help set up a really good platform for that back 75 balls.
Yeah, I've noticed that, because some teams have, in those first 25 balls, have gone out really hard, lost three wickets, and then it's surprising how many runs you can score in those last 25 balls if you've got wickets in hand. And if your best 3 players are gone in the first 10 balls, it can make a difference.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think you look at our first 2 games, like obviously Precy and I both got out within that first 25 balls, both games. And then you look at the third game, we ended up scoring 150 as a team, but we didn't get out in that first 25 balls. And I think that just alleviated a little bit of pressure for our middle order, because they're not having to come out and consolidate. They're able to come out with free reign. They can hit the sweepers, get up and down and put the bad ball away. So that's probably a good, board for us to go from, is what we did in that game against London Spirit. So hopefully we can continue to do that.
Well, hopefully that's a good template. And with the ball, do you have sort of plans for each batsman that you're bowling to?
Yeah, I think that's with the way that the game's moving, is obviously more access to vision. Planning meetings are becoming more and more common. In the past, you might have known too much about your opposition, but these days, obviously, like I said, most games are on TV. You get access to all of their footage. You do a lot of planning just to see what their strengths and weaknesses are. And obviously, playing in these tournaments, in the WBBL, we're lucky to have the international players come over and for us to play against them. So you start to get to see similar faces in these tournaments. So you get to know what people do. So that's nice and handy for us as a bowling group. If you've seen players, we can pass on that knowledge around what their strengths and weaknesses are, and have a clear plan on what we want to try and execute when we do come up against them out on the field. And
is there much talk between the men's team and the women's team about sort of plans and tactics as well? Not
necessarily around plans and tactics. Obviously, playing on the same ground, so double headers, or playing, having the men travelling around with us, it's quite handy, because obviously some of the boys have had more experience on some of the wickets. So just knowing what a wicket's going to play like, what conditions are going to be like, how outfields are going to run, whether you can expect spin, seam, swing. That's been really, really handy to have the guys around to sort of get their knowledge.
And have you yourself had any sets of 2 5s yet?
No, I haven't bowled a set of 10 yet. There's opportunities there, but I think tactically, I think if I was a skipper, I think the chopping and changing, giving 5 and 5 and 5 works really well sort of through that middle and back end, I think, because otherwise batters can get pretty set on a bowler. I think that you're going to see more 10s probably through that power play phase, because if a bowler's on a bit of a run at the top, batters aren't really set, haven't got the feet moving, and I think that's where you can snaffle a few dot balls at the top.
Yeah, it does seem to be more the slower bowlers that are getting the 10, the 2 sets of 5, rather than the quicker bowlers.
Yeah, and I think that's just with that pace on. It's a little bit easier if they don't execute. You can throw your hands through it, and you're getting boundaries or excess runs with the spinners and the slower bowlers. Obviously, taking the pace off, you've got to generate that. So I think that's where it becomes a little bit difficult. And if you're struggling against a particular bowler, they can build a little bit of pressure. And obviously, because you don't change ends, you're at risk as a batter facing 10 balls and not scoring too many runs. So I think that's tactically just for skippers, just trying to work out and trying to manage that, and just go risk versus reward if you think that they can bowl 10 and pick up some more dot balls. But then they also risk that they could go the distance if their batter gets set on them.
It must be odd not changing ends, and then when someone gets caught, you're bowling to the new batsman all the time. That must be quite strange.
Yeah, the not swapping ends is obviously a little bit different, but sometimes it's actually not too bad. It's actually pretty good, because you can go, all right, well, I can stay, and you don't have to run around as a fielder too much. So you sort of get stuck in that one position for a little bit. But definitely when the new batter comes to the crease, and if it's a high ball and it's catch and they cross, I think back end, it makes it quite difficult for the new batter coming in. You kind of want to try and score boundaries, which is the aim of the game. We want to try and score as many runs as possible. But if you get out, then another new batter's coming in. So the bowling team sort of gets that advantage at the back end, whereas in the past, that hasn't been the same in T20 cricket.
Well, thanks for the chat there about the 100. I just want to go back to your beginnings in cricket. And I read that you first played cricket when you were 12 in New South Wales. But why did you choose cricket?
Yeah, it's sort of one of those things that just sort of happened. I really loved playing soccer and hockey. They were my two main sports as a youngster. And just mucking around in the schoolyard with the boys, decided to roll the armour over in some schoolyard cricket and really enjoyed it, and ended up joining up with my local boys team and playing from there.
And then you then played a lot of representative cricket in New South Wales, but one of the sort of key moments in your life was being chosen for this Adam Gilchrist Scholarship Award when you came over to Cumbria in 2010. How did that come about?
Yeah, so back in 2009, obviously Lismore girl playing my junior cricket there, had an opportunity to play in a charity match. So it was the Far North Coast 11. We actually played against a Bulls Masters ACA 11. So that was mixed up with people like Michael Bevan, Andy Bickle, some obviously big name Australian players, and they were in Lismore for a T20 match under lights at our local oval there. And Adam Gilchrist's parents, Stan and June, were actually in the stands watching. I obviously didn't know them at the time. And then a few weeks later after that, I actually received an email just being, you'd been offered a scholarship to go and play county cricket in England. I was just like completely spun out by the fact that someone would offer me to go overseas as a 17-year-old kid to play cricket. I was just a local Lismore girl, country kid, hadn't even, left the state very often, let alone thinking about going across the other side of the world to play county cricket in a completely different country. So it was a pretty cool experience to be able to, pop over on the big plane and play some county cricket for 6 months.
Yeah, that must have been very special and very cold up in Cumbria as well.
Oh, I tell you what, I don't reckon I took my jumper off for the first couple of months that I was here. It was absolutely freezing getting over in April. But yeah, I think I slowly ended up taking the long pants and the jumper off by the end of the summer.
And that's where you scored your first century, I believe.
Yeah, first ever 100 was over here, which was pretty cool. It was a surreal summer. Like, obviously, I just tried to play as much cricket as I could, just tried to get around as many different people, the coaching staff and the different players. Like, I obviously played girls cricket, women's cricket, junior boys cricket, and as much senior men's cricket as I could. So I played, like 70 or 80 cricket matches in the summer. Like, I just played as much cricket as I possibly could and just try and learn and try and be better. And I definitely took that away.
And you must have made some good friends up in Cumberland then.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I've still got really, really close friends with everyone that I live with. And I've been able to, one of them actually, Lizzie, one of my good friends, she was actually to come to the gap at Trent Bridge the other day. So it was nice to see her in the crowd. And I'm still in contact with everyone that I played a part with at Penrith Cricket Club and obviously through Cumbria as well. So it's just, you make lifelong friends with that sort of stuff, obviously traveling around the world, playing in different tournaments, different teams, this sort of stuff. So that's, lifelong friends from that experience.
It sounds like it must have been a fantastic experience and for your cricketing background. And you made your debut then for Queensland in November 2011 in T20 and 50 over cricket. But tragedy struck your family when your father took his own life in July 2012. And then you took a 2-year break from cricket, I understand, or about that sort of time. How did what happened to your father affect you and all the family?
Yeah, obviously, like it's obviously a common question that I get asked about, like how do you cope with that sort of stuff as a youngster? Like, I was only 19, fresh out of school. I had 2 younger sisters. It was a pretty tough time. I think now it's coming up on nearly 10 years ago now that Dad passed away. So I think I've had a lot of time to sort of reflect on it, look at how that affected me. Obviously, you didn't realise how much it actually did at that particular time. It was obviously a pretty tough time. Dad was basically like my best mate. Like, we got on, we spent a lot of time together. But obviously the struggles with someone that's got mental health issues, it probably took a toll on us and the family. There were some really, really challenging times. Obviously, he missed key events in our lives, like graduations. Like, he never seen me debut for Queensland, didn't see a lot of us play sport. But I think having someone that was like that in our family, you sort of grew up a little bit quicker. And I think that's helped me to become the person that I am today, because I've sort of realised you can't rely on other people. Life is short, and just get out and take your opportunities when you can. So it was a really, really tough time. I obviously took some time away from the game, had some, some down times and some rough times myself personally. But forever grateful. My partner, Brian, he was fantastic. We've been together for nearly 10 years now, and he was around just before Dad passed away. So he's someone that I heavily rely on through that tough time. And he's still beside me today. So it's things happen for a reason, and I'm glad that someone like Brian's come along into my life, because I think that not having someone like him, I would have struggled. But obviously my family's come along in leaps and bounds since those tough times, and really nice to see them having their own little successes. So my two younger sisters are doing quite well. Mum's still happy and healthy. So, yeah, tough times, but it's just nice to see that, even with tough times, you can come out of it and work together and get back on the right path.
Well, thank you very much for answering that question. It's obviously it must have been a very difficult time for you. Did you really think about not playing cricket again at one point?
Yeah, 100%. Like, there was moments where, you're down and you're out. I obviously turned to a different path in life that was, drugs, alcohol, parties, around the wrong crowd, and thought I probably would never play cricket again. I put on a lot of weight. I was unhappy, just really stuck in a spot where you thought, what's the point? Like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm stuck in this little rut. I had a little injury at the back end of that season as well, and then I ended up missing some cricket, and I was like, no, I'm done. I'll probably never play cricket again. But being the person that I am deep down, I was really driven with the fact that I love team sport, and I love being around people, and I love being able to go out and express myself, and cricket and hockey at that particular time were the two things that I absolutely loved doing. So I just went back through the ranks and started playing club cricket at the Gold Coast with my club team there, the Gold Coast Dolphins. Head coach at the time, Gary Lovett, he's one of my best mates as well. Like, he played a really, really big part in getting me back on the park. Like I said, I was unfit, unhealthy, unhappy. I just rolled up the sleeves, got down to club cricket and just started hitting balls again, started bowling balls again, started running, got back into the Queensland side, and I haven't looked back since then.
Well, sport and Brian in particular, we have a lot to thank them for, that you're still now playing cricket and doing so well. Then the WBL came along in 2015-16, and you've won that twice with the Brisbane Heat, and then recently when you moved to the Sydney Thunder. How important has that been for you and for women's sport and cricket in Australia?
The WBBL has revolutionised the women's game. Like I said, I got contracted in the very first year of WBBL, so picked up my first contract with the Brisbane Heat. I only played 2 games in that first year and ran drinks for the rest of the summer, but I don't reckon, like, I learnt so much about the game, seeing how people prepare, seeing how people play the game. I learnt more on the sidelines than I probably would have in the matches. And then that led to some more opportunities later in WBBL 02 and 3 to then come out and win 2 titles with the Brisbane Heat. Was just like so surreal. Like, it was just the amount of people that were getting at games, the amount of people that were watching on television, the amount of young girls and boys that could recognise players has just gone from nothing to up here. Like, it's just unbelievable as to how many people actually recognise players in the WBBL. And it's been a great platform for the youngsters to come through. Like, there's a dedicated pathway. If they want to play cricket and want to make it a viable career option, they actually can now. So credit to Cricket Australia and the way that the ACA have worked together to make it an actual career option for girls, and they're seeing it. They're seeing it on TV. They're seeing it on social media. They're seeing it in the newspapers. We're able to get out into club grounds, into schools, and give time back to the game by encouraging youngsters to get out and about. So it's just been phenomenal.
And as I said, you moved to Sydney, and in the last WBL, you won again with Sydney Thunder, and you were the leading wicket taker in the competition.
Yeah, obviously just for some personal reasons, Brian picked up some work in Sydney and we relocated down to New South Wales, obviously. So home come true. Obviously, I grew up wanting to play cricket for New South Wales, so to play for the Breakers and then to get an opportunity with the Sydney Thunder was, phenomenal. It was a crazy year, obviously, with COVID. We were in a hub for 6 weeks in hotels, living at all 8 teams under one roof. And just for the young group that we had, like, obviously we had some experienced players, but we had 8 girls under the age of 21. So to bring them together, to perform on the big stage, and then to walk away with a trophy at the end was just, it was outstanding. Like it's probably one of the highlights of my career. Like, yeah, it's all well and good to say, yeah, Sammy Jo, you've won 3 WBBL titles in a row, but I wouldn't have done it without the teammates that I've had and the coaching staff that I've had, because they've just made it such an enjoyable ride. And yeah, great to be leading wicket taker and take all these wickets and stuff. But like I said, it's a team effort, and so proud to be a part of 2 wonderful franchises, and obviously glad that I'm with this Thunder. They've been fantastic. So we all can't wait for WBBL 07 to kick off shortly.
Well, let's hope the 100 does the same what it's doing for Australian women's cricket and for world cricket as well, for the England cricket team as well.
Yeah, I can only see this being a positive thing in this game. Like, just to see how many people that are interested in it, to see so many young girls and boys in the stands. They've got their Trent Rockets shirts on, their mums and dads are down there. And I think because of the short, sharp, fast-paced nature of the 100, it's got people engaged. They want to see big hits. They want to see fast bowling. They want to see people diving around the field. And it's obviously not a lengthy time that they have to spend watching the game. So I think that's what's going to bring people in the gates. It's going to want kids to be, oh, Mum, can we go down to the park? Dad, can we go down to the park and play cricket? Like, I think it's only going to benefit the game. And I think the biggest thing is obviously putting some of the domestic players on show. There's some fantastic domestic players in this country, and to see them, being able to rub shoulders with some of the best. If you look at our team, we've got Catherine Brunt, Nat Siva, and Sarah Glenn. So 3 of, the best England players that they've got at the moment on this T20 and one-day format. You got the youngsters coming through that can rub shoulders with them, learn, see how they train, see how they prepare, and it's only going to benefit the younger group coming through. So I can only see it being a positive thing for women's cricket here in England.
Well, here to that. We've mentioned about the strength of the Australian team. I think they're on a run of, 22 matches, consecutive wins. And you've played for Australia A. Do you still harbour ambition to get in that Ashes team and play for Australia first team?
Oh, 100%. It's obviously, that's a childhood dream, and it's something I still strive to do today. I've been fortunate enough, like you said, to be picked up on some Aussie tours in the last couple of years. We've toured India, we've toured England. I've developed and learnt so much from those tours, and it sort of just gives you a little bit of an insight on what it's like to be a full-time cricketer. Obviously, us as domestic cricketers, we're not full-time, so to just experience and sort of live like a full-time cricketer, it's only beneficial for each individual that gets that opportunity to do so. Like you said, that Aussie team is such a good side. It is a really tough squad to crack into. But my aim is to just keep putting performances on the board, keep taking wickets, keep scoring runs, and keep having an impact in as many games as possible. And hopefully give the selectors no reason not to pick me.
Well, best of luck there. And hopefully that performing in the 100 will, and again, when you go back home to the WBBL, will give you that chance to get in there. Because they've even got Test cricket as well, I think, in the winter in Australia, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. Any opportunity to chuck on that green and gold shirt or chuck on a baggy green, I'll throw my hat in the ring and keep trying to perform.
And back finally to the 100, how optimistic are you that the Trent Rockets, after yesterday's win, that you can get in that top 3 and have a chance of winning the competition?
Oh, I think we've got great depth in our squad. Obviously, it's a shorter tournament than something like the WBBL. You only got 8 games, so you kind of need to not leave your run too late. I think just getting that first win on the board, the girls were so up and about, and we just needed that win. And I think that can tick you on the right side of the board here and just get some momentum our way. And I think that performance yesterday really, really helped us go in the right direction.
Yeah, so I guess you're going to want to need to win, minimum of probably 5 games to get in the top 3, I would think, when you're out of 8.
Yeah, I think we spoke roughly you need those 5 wins. Obviously, getting that win yesterday helps. It just means that you don't have to win the last 5. Obviously, if we can win the last 5, then that's great. Puts us on a good rolling towards that eliminator and finals. So we just go one game at a time. You don't want to think too far ahead. These tournaments do ebb and flow. And it's just about winning those little moments in each game. Momentum can swing so quickly in this short format. So it's just about who can hold their nerve the longest. And I think we've got the group that can do it.
Yeah, I've often heard sometimes it's the teams that are playing well at the end rather than the team that, say, wins the first 3 games can actually win the tournament.
100%. And you see that in all these sorts of tournaments, whether it's World Cups, domestic franchises, short format stuff. I mean, if you come out the gates, come swinging hard and you win your first couple of games, it's who can put it together at the right time and have really good momentum leading into those final series.
And it could be even more so in this competition as people get used to rules and tactics. as it's a new competition.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you just got to get your head around those few things, just work out those tactics. Like, we still don't really know what a pass score is. But if you can go out there with really, really good intent and hopefully get your team off the fly, whether it's with the bat or the ball, and just hold your nerve in those pressure moments, hopefully you come out on top at the end of the day.
And when are you due to go back yourself to Sydney?
So obviously, fingers crossed, we're playing in that final on the 22nd. And if, as long as it's not a washout and played on the 23rd, then I'll be back in Oz pretty much as soon as the tournament finishes.
Because you obviously got some quite tough restrictions in Sydney at the moment. So will you have to go into quarantine when you get back?
Yeah, so the good old 2 weeks quarantine on arrival back into Australia, but that'll be a couple of days to get over the jet lag, refresh. Sure, I'll have some exercise equipment to keep fit in my room, and then once we get out, then it's roll on into prep for the WBBL.
Yeah, so I don't suppose it'll be that long before you'll be training for that to start, will you?
Yeah, as soon as we get out, make sure we just get in and keep the bowling loads up, keep the body ticking over, keep the legs ticking over, and just prepare for that. So I think October we start, so that'll all come around pretty quickly.
Well, thank you very much, Sammy, for being on the Paddock and the Pavilion. I also need to thank Sally Clark at Loughborough University, who's also the team operations executive at the Loughborough Lightning and the Trent Rockets, for introducing you to me this morning. And the best of luck for the rest of the 100 competition and in your quest to get into the Australian side.
Thanks very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Paddock and the Pavilion. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and now on Instagram at the Pad and Pav. Don't forget, if you like the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Taking charge of your future starts with taking the first steps. And saving up to $30 a month on Cox Internet with the Affordable Connectivity Program makes those steps easy to take. Whether they bring you to click upload on your first short film or join now for an online book club. Applying is easy. See if you qualify at cox.com/ACP. Non-transferable one per household. Application and eligibility decisions are made by the FCC.